I was told it didn't work last week. Video feed working?
Yeah.
It is time for the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between with Josh, Misty, and Live. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. Right here on 106.9 The Country Giant, we are brought to you by Lotto Land Cattle. Hodge, Josh here, rocking and rolling. Misty will be joining us a little bit later on. But we're glad that you're with us this morning as we get rocking and rolling on January 26th, hanging out in the Toaster Live studio down here in the Mall of Abilene. The Mall Walkers have not started, but there's no doubt they will be rolling through shortly. But Josh, we're here, ready to roll, and mixed emotions. We got the end of football season starting to draw near, but it means, and those will be, it's a little different base season to get excited for as we are defending world champions, but we do have a jam-packed show, and things are, it's really starting to get heading that way.
Oh yeah, we're getting close to February. I know that high school baseball's getting ready to start, and maybe even already has. I can't remember if it's this week or next that they get to start practicing.
Well, I had somebody ask me, why do I not, officiate basketball? Why do I not umpire softball or baseball? And I said, well, basically the first 2 weeks of the season.
Oh yeah, it's terribly cold. I remember playing in some very cold weather. Those February scrimmages and early season tournaments. But yeah, it's moving along on the calendar.
Well, and the other thing that shocked me, or that was kind of resonated with me last night, I went and watched some buddies, of course, played junior high basketball last night. Played and go watch.
You played junior high basketball?
I probably could have played. I don't know. Yesterday, Wiley's got a 7th grade 18 right now. That it was 71-15 when I left.
Oh goodness. And
there was still plenty of time. So, but it registered with me, just kind of hit school year has kind of flown that, we get through and we do football and high school football, and we go to state championships at AT&T, and then you roll in, you're looking at, we had our referee meeting Wednesday night, and we're about a week or two away from playoff basketball. So that ends, and now track, and you mentioned baseball and softball, all that starts. So the school year is flying. They say it does fly when you get older, and it does seem that way. But again, track and all the spring stuff will be here before you know it. And so, but with that does mean football's coming to an end. We're down to technically 3 weeks. I don't know what you call the Pro Bowl, but you got championship this weekend. 2 weeks after that, you'll have the Super Bowl. We'll be there. I do think both of these games this weekend, Josh, have their own storyline and their own excitement, if you will, of what these two games can be. And so I look forward to dissecting those with you and Misty a little bit later.
I am obviously looking forward to it because it is championship weekend. It's always with the bittersweetness of the Cowboys.
Right. Well, it's good and bad. The good thing is we're used to that. The bad thing is we're used to that. And so there are no Cowboys. Yeah, you can take it half full or half empty, however you want. But we do have a lot to talk about at the bottom of the hour. One of the things that I always look forward to as a coach, it was always anticipating of what it would be and where you would be going and who you would be playing in the next year. We'll be having Dr. Danny Harris. People will realize next did they go up there, so they go. It'll be interesting to talk with him because when I was coaching, they've changed up a little bit. I was talking with Andy Penny about this last night. Used to, you didn't know. It was just that you had your photos, what they call the snapshot of students. Everybody gave you all a hard time that Hugh sent some kids home, but that was never truly the case that we know of.
Still improving.
It's still like, where's Jimmy Hoffa? But
People in Merkel still have a little chip on their shoulder.
yeah, it's a small lace chip, but we do. And so you would wait, and then it would unveil. Well, my I coached that 1 year at Dimmitt, and then I came back home to coach at Merkel, and that's the only 2 years that I can recall that before the, obviously the jump was that we went out west district realignment, and we were the farthest east, and it was Seminole and Denver, Snyder, Lamesa. So I didn't get to coach against Wiley in that setting. But you would, on the day that you would get unveiling where you were going, you would have to send coaches to the different region centers to figure out, okay, all right, this is where we're going, start scheduling games.
Right.
Well, now I think it's a little bit easier because they unveil, all right, this is your number, you're at least going to be for sure in this classification.
Right.
And so anyway, I'm interested to see what that process is like, and that Dr. Harrison may not be able to tell us everything in the room, the war room, and all that. And interesting, El Paso, do not let me forget to ask him about the El Paso. There was 3 schools that fall in the, I believe it's 5A Division 1 or 5A Division 2, and they were the only 3. And to make it work, they were going to have to send all the Lubbock and Amarillo, the El Paso team district. Don't know if they find that out February 1st as that unveiling comes out. So looking forward to talking to Dr. Harrison this morning as well. Of course, Misty will join us with her bag, all the insights, a lot of coaching snooze, and so let's just dive into our Lawrence Hall headline.
Snooze, I like that.
Coaching snooze, and one that's probably an older guy that's snoozing and wondering why he's not been hired, and that is Bill Belichick. So let's dive into our Lawrence Hall headline report. We'll talk more about this because I really want to figure out why is the most successful NFL coach not getting hired, and you may have some reasons and thoughts on that. But let's go through the hirings that did happen. Obviously, the ones that were hired earlier were Gerard Mayo got the job at New England, followed by Antonio Pierce. I think that was the right decision for the Raiders. I think it would have been a bad look. 2 years ago, they did that with Sacha. They didn't even make the playoffs. Directions went with McDaniel, didn't work out well, and they've got Antonio Pierce coming. In a division that got even harder with another hire that was a little bit later on this past week. Do you think the Raiders made the right choice instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and go out and get somebody else?
Well, going out and getting somebody else has not worked. They've had the interim that was successful before that they did not move forward with, and so the Raiders obviously have an interesting situation with ownership and everything that goes along with that. So I mean, I think it's worse than the Cowboys, as far as like how that all plays out. So we'll see what comes, obviously, but I don't know that. I don't know that there's a better of just going out and getting somebody.
And I think we just got hired at LA, or if you wanted to roll the dice with Belichick. But then again, I think now you would have gone back-to-back times of that opportunity to leave the interim there. And I think that would have been bad for the, as they say, the natives, the restless guys in the locker room.
Oh, no, I think when the interim comes in and has a successful run and builds that camaraderie with the team gets behind him, and then you let him go, you always have a chance of that, breaking things down. So I think that's the perfectly logical thing to do. And if you're not going to do that, you need to make it more clear. Like there's plenty of times you see people come in, they're the interim, and it is obvious this is temporary. You're coaching one bowl game and then you're out the door.
And I think that's the thing that we you should have just given it to somebody totally different. So Antonio Pierce stays. I'm going to go through these other ones. David Canales is now the new Panthers coach, probably of all the jobs. It was the least, but he was the coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, not rejuvenated Baker Mayfield, but had a very good year. Couple passes away from a chance of maybe even being in an NFC Championship game with the Bucs. So he is the new Panthers head coach. And then also, we mentioned earlier, Raheem Morris gets the job in Atlanta. They interviewed Bill Belichick twice, and decided to go a different direction and go with a younger coach for whatever reason. But Raheem Morris, and so there were some that said, Bill just needs to hang it up. What else do you have to prove? We all know the thing that is out there internally and then from a media standpoint that you have to prove is how successful can you be without Tom Brady. He's not been that. Is that because he's been part general manager, part coach, the combination not working out? But Raheem Morris is your new head coach in Atlanta. And there's only two children, Josh, and that's the Washington and the Seattle Seahawks. Not heard any words of him even interviewing for those two jobs. Do you feel like the Falcons made the right choice in staying young and not going with Belichick?
I think so. I mean, we mentioned this last week. We were talking about Belichick. I think the commitment to Belichick, is different because of who he is and just his age. Because it doesn't really matter how good of a coach he can be if he has to rebuild completely, and he doesn't have that many years left coaching. Even, I mean, in a great scenario of health, he's just getting old. I mean, there's not
and that's the thing. He's 72 years old. Even if he were to, do you want now 3 good years, which is what the Bucs got, and one of those was the Super Bowl. If you got that out of Belichick, are the Falcons away from a Super Bowl?
That's the thing. I don't think any of the teams the only teams that he would make sense to me as far as like come in and make that instant difference. The Chargers would have been one of those that I think have some pieces and could have done that. Obviously, if the Cowboys or Eagles job would have opened up, then you could say, take all the other situations off the table as far as like how much control a Jerry Jones would allow somebody to have. But all of that to say, those teams I think have players and personnel in place that a tweak here and there could make a difference. I don't think Atlanta's a tweak here and there away from making a Super Bowl.
Now you would have to go out and get the quarterback. I think they were competitive until the end in that division, which the division I know is not very good, but the Buccaneers at least showed that once they got in the playoffs, yes, they beat a dismal, spiraling in the wrong direction Eagles team. But I do think they had. Kyle Pitts came out. He was the next Kelsey. Is he going to be the next? Is he going to be the next impact tight end? And now you're looking at who's throwing him the ball. So we'll see how that ends up. But that job has been filled. The other job that's been filled, and I want to talk more about that a little bit later with Misty getting here, and we'll talk about that when we get in the second hour. But Jim Harbaugh is going to LA. All the stuff surrounded. We put that on our Facebook page. We'll go back and look at some of your answers. But Jim Harbaugh is leaving the college world and listening to Golick and Gojo, the podcast that Mike Golick and Mike Golick Jr. have together. Talked about 4 coaches in the Final Four. Sarkisian's the only one coming back. Saban retired. Harbaugh went to the NFL, and Bauer went to Alabama. So pretty interesting on that front as well. A couple other things, just golf notes because I love talking. Nick Dunlap. We only got a minute left. I know, Josh, you were glued. But it was really cool. Nick Dunlap, ironically, 2 Nicks leaving Alabama. Nick Saban retires, and Nick Dunlap, the 21-year-old amateur, won the American Express tournament last weekend. First time since '91 when Phil Mickelson did it. But a really cool deal. He turns pro, and so not a bad gig for the young man from Alabama. So pretty cool deal. When we come back, we've got, again, tons to talk about. Hall of Famer. We now have a World Series championship, and third baseman, probably one of the best of all time, is now heading to Cooperstown. And we'll talk and debate Hall of Fames. Is it still the Hall of Fame in baseball? Is it the Hall of just good enough? And we'll talk about those, and we'll compare the Hall of Fames right after this.
I am a little early.
Kick Collins out on the curve.
Yeah, I did. Tuck and roll.
Hello.
Hello. You're welcome that I'm here so early.
We are excited.
I'm gracing y'all with my presence.
What's going on with what?
It says Safari can't connect to iCloud private relay. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Private. Let's try it.
I felt like it was a bit warm, thanks.
Well, for me, I'm.
Oh.
All right, Josh. So what I've got here, talk about like last year's class was been Griff, Scott Roll, 2022. I'll be honest, I don't know who these people are. Bud Fowler, Gil Hodges, Jim Catt, many.
So, those are veterans committees guys that like.
So nobody made the.
No one got elected. What Wi-Fi are you connected to?
The optimum one, but
It says it doesn't work.
hey, bud. I messed up on it. I clicked underneath because I cut a commercial. But I no, I had to cut a commercial out. So no, it was in there. So, but when I come back, it shows back, come back, dead air, and then was that wrong? I'm sending it to. Come back music. Dead air was that wrong Hodge and commercials. So dead air, roll it, and then roll into commercials with.
Yeah, that's right. So that.
Okay. Gotcha. Cool. All right, man. Thanks.
Okay. I was like, sweet, Greggy. He's always in. And us. Like, I want to ask him, are you always this nice, or is it just us?
Just you.
He's so
You
nice.
still not on the internet's not working?
Chuck E. Cheese internet's working.
I'm on somebody.
The Optima says no connected. So
Hello?
Hey, what about before you come back to your comeback music?
Which one?
The one that you moved, that
The
you
one
moved
that
the
you
sheet.
moved.
Okay.
Right before you went into spot, I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
You just move it down right before your comeback music.
Yeah, it's happening.
Okay, buddy.
How about? Welcome back to the Hodge Pack as we're rocking and rolling into segment number 2. And now we're not only just 2, we do have 3 joining us now live and in a new beverage. It's not green, it is blue. She's not blue that we know of. Misty joining us, Hodge, Misty, and Josh. Rocking and rolling. Josh, this is a big day, Misty. How are you doing? Went through the tunnel today.
I did. It was a little touch and go, but I made it here. So it's good. Today is my mother's birthday. So it's a good day.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to my mom. So yeah, it's a good day. I'm drinking a blue drink in mourning of the Dallas Cowboys not being in championship weekend, but it's fine. I'm not salty, fine.
Well, you should be used to that. But,
I am.
so anyway, it is, we mentioned earlier, again, what Misty's back, bottom of the hour, Dr. Jamie Harrison from the UIL will talk to him about realignment. But I want to jump into, Josh, this past week, Hall of Fame was announced, and we know in baseball there's greats that are tarnished, that are blue, if you will, that will be in the Hall of Fame that we know. But this week, a couple of guys got in. Todd Helton, Joe Murray, and the third one is the great Beltray into the Hall of Good.
I think you're wrong on that, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, you could say that, but when people like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, some of the greatest of all time, are not in, I'm not saying it's not watered down, but when you don't have some of the best in history of all time, you could take Pete Rose. Some would say the same thing. He's not in because of gambling. Barry and some others guys are in because they didn't just put spark or something in the water. They put something else in the
How do you
water.
know Misty's not?
Yeah, this
Oh.
is totally.
Well, we can talk about that, but yeah.
So anyway, Hall of Fame. I wish he would have got a ring, but it's a pretty good ring to have as the second place, and that's the Hall of Fame.
Well, for sure. He was one of those guys that if you're a fan and seeing, that's why some guys aren't in there that that we can talk about. But he played well very late into his career, which we got to see all the way to the end as Rangers fans. He was a day he retired, no doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know of anyone. There were 18 people that didn't vote for him. That they must be just really stupid people, petty people, people that get this notion of like, well, I'm going to make sure not vote for this guy because he can't get 100% because Ted Williams didn't get 100% 50 years ago. Like
They're also
we're talking about. I think he's one of only two people with, so someone who plays premium defense and obviously hits very well, pushing 500 home runs, all of the key things that you need to be a Hall of Famer. Adrian Beltre checks every box. I don't know if somebody just got electrocuted, what that sound was.
I was like, oh, same.
But so there's no box he does not check, as far as like, being a good human off the field, which, has way more effect than maybe it should in Hall of Fame voting, but he checks that box also. And when you talk about ranking positional players in their all time, I would say that Beltre is in the top 2 or 3 third basemen to ever play baseball. And when you look at just general stats on the offensive side, a better producer than Beltre, and maybe Brooks Robinson, a better defensive player than Beltre. But the combination of both sides of the ball, there's strong argument that if you're filling out your all-time team, that you'd put him as your third baseman. So that guy gets in the Hall of Fame. Should have been 100%. 18 people thought that they were smarter than the whole rest of the world, and that I'm at 95%, but still first ballot, cruise into the Hall of Fame.
your thoughts on the people that are not in the Barry Bonds, the ones that have a asterisk by their lives, if you will, because of a steroid issue. Do they need to be in, or
We've talked about this before, and it can go both ways. I feel like they should be in. It's been so long, we've talked about this so many years, and it's like, okay, what they did, I get it, it's done, let's move on. They're still, I know that they did have a are we talking about, performing or drugs, PDs? So I don't know. I'm like, I just have a different opinion. I'm like, they still did what they needed to do. Like, put them in. They're still a great.
Well, but when they were,
I know it's a huge hot topic, but it doesn't bother me.
it was frowned upon, not suspendable at the time, correct?
Right.
Right,
For
exactly.
all but Alex Rodriguez and Manny Ramirez, as far as like the guys that were, and I guess Rafael Palmeiro was also suspended, right? But as he retired the last year that he would have played, he was suspended and didn't play. But for Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens specifically, they were never suspended from any game for what they did. So they did off the field to make them better, maybe on the field, was never something that was to the point of argument that
For them.
that you can say, well, if you're not suspended from a game, then you should be able to get in. But here's what bothers me the most is it became more. If you look at those guys that hadn't been elected in, one thing that they also share, not only the PED suspicion, but almost two of them are people who were privy with the media that did not grant a lot of interviews, that were not cheery with the press. Because you think about, and this is one of the things that makes it just ridiculous to me, is David Ortiz being elected on the first ballot, who was also named in the Mitchell, who, if you look at the arc of his career, was in his career a middling player, not superstar level in his career, became superstar level. So you could look at that as like, okay, he was named in the Mitchell report as taking PEDs. His performance increased at a time where most people are starting to decrease. So all of there's smoke and there's fire with him. He gets first ballot. He's a media darling, loved by one of the major markets in baseball. So I think it's as much of that as it is the steroids that keeps these guys out. And this ballot, the one guy that was close but didn't get there was Gary Sheffield, who, yes, he was linked to Balco, but there was never any actual test results that he failed or anything like that. In fact, the link that they got was that they did the raid on their house when they served the warrant for the Balco. They found a FedEx receipt for a package that was delivered to Gary Sheffield. So that's his link to steroids. What was in that package? We don't know. Could it be, could it not be? But get elected into the Hall of Fame. Now you have to go to the Veterans Committee. We'll see. But the other thing that I think is interesting with Sheffield, because if you look at his numbers across the board, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you look at 509 home runs, career on base percentage 396, has over 200 stolen bases to go along with the home runs. But he's also a guy that was never a media darling, and he was kind of a bat for hire, bounced around from team to team to team, and I think that hurts your case also. But so I think there's some in it, and we'll see where the Veterans Committee goes with a guy like Sheffield. But so I'm interested to see what happens to him on that ballot.
Well, and I want to we may get into it in the 8 o'clock hour, more comparisons of the Hall of Fames of guys that still aren't in. One of those is Darren Woods in the NFL. We'll talk a few others, but I want to be respectful of Dr. Harrison's time. So we're going to go to commercial. When we come back, realignment, one of the biggest days of the year. Coaches start putting out resumes when they know their district changes. We'll be back right after.
Okay, are we going to the office? Yeah. Even though it sounds like an air.
Sounds like what?
It smells like blood.
And I'll go like.
Cowboys football.
Bye.
Sunday night Celebrate responsibly.
Hello?
Texas. When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you,
Hello?
there's no better place than
Hello?
Lawrence Hall and Abilene. For over 34 years, Lawrence Hall and Abilene has been the place to find the best in Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. That is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time car, truck, or SUV you see us, online.com. Go to Abilene Texas dealer for over 48 years. Now you are a customer.
Hello?
Hello,
Hey, Dr. Harrison, appreciate you joining us this morning.
you bet.
All right, we're at commercial, exciting commercials. You know how those got pay the bills.
Pay the bills.
Anyway, I'll tell you, I coached my little background. I coached for 10 years. This realignment day is one of my favorite days of all time. I know it's crazy for y'all, but always the anticipation was always exciting. When I was in Merkel, the 2 years I coached there, we went out west and played Denver City and all that. And so, anyway, I'm excited to talk about it. Appreciate you coming to, talk about the process and how it changed in the past and all those things. All right. So, is it true that there are fans?
Not anymore. Not that long ago, frankly. But no, we've got a software that helps us now. But I don't know, 6-8 years ago, less than ago, we were still using a roadmap on events.
Nice. And then, is it okay to talk about, wasn't there a couple of El Paso teams that don't know what to do with? Can we talk about that? Or?
Yes, I may dance around it a little bit, but
Right.
it's okay for us to talk.
Okay, perfect. All right. And I always come back, how much does the UI State have done the state football championships about the same time they're doing basketball? With everything at once, how big of a game changer all and kids, and this is probably crazy for the days, but I bet it's nice having everybody.
That's become a phenomenal event. It's phenomenal. One of the largest sporting events in the country.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. So, all right, we got one more commercial and then we will hit it.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, we had Dr. Elsa on last year right before she left and was heading to Nebraska. So we appreciate the UIL and all that you guys do.
Appreciate you having us.
How long have you been at the UIL?
Just a handful of days short of 13.
Not a bad gig.
It has its days, but I can assure you.
Right. Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. One of the biggest days in the state of Texas, and for coaches, players, transportation directors, knowing where their buses are going, is February 1st. This again, joining us on the Pest Patrol phone line. It's our time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, brought to you by Big Country Electric Cooperative. We highlight local player coach programming, highlighting an organization that does a great job, in my opinion, in the state. They only make one bad decision in their whole life, and they've already fixed it. So that is fantastic. And so, that's Dr. Jamie Harrison on our. Mr. Doctor, appreciate you joining us this morning. Oh, there we go. There we go. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. Yeah, the only mistake I think that y'all made was the Texas Cup, but you got rid of that, and that's fantastic. And so the UIL, what y'all do every year is absolutely amazing. Well, Dr. Harrison, the big day that's coming up is next week, the realignment, and we were talking during the break that basically rubber bands, and talk a little bit about leading up to this, the preparation, the snapshot, and how we get to February 1st.
Well, over the years, the process has evolved pretty dramatically. That long ago, the day that schools found out what conference they were in, what football division they were in, what district they were in, to help increase transparency, to give us additional opportunities to verify enrollment figures submitted by schools. We've changed that over the last few years. Now, typically in early to mid-December, we release the conference and division cutoffs. So schools already know.
Well, that's crazy. So we've got a lot of transportation and all those things that go in. Talk a little bit about the El Paso stuff. They're way out there by themselves. So what's your thoughts on kind of how y'all handle that? Well, and again, you talk about all those things that go in that in the growth, and so what's fun about that for you and your staff leading up to.
We understand that with reclassification and realignment, it's one of the big projects in any spec that you'll find that touches every square inch of the 265,000 square miles that is the great state of Texas. It touches every single community, and people genuinely care. It has an impact, not only on kids in schools, but on their communities as a whole. So that's a lot of pressure.
Right. Oh, I imagine. Always, it's somewhere I'm at, because when I went to Roby, we dropped from Division One to Division Two back, which fit us perfectly, numbers wise and all that. And so I know coaches are like, all right, do I get my resume up? Do I like where I'm at? What am I doing? But talk about the growth of Texas. A buddy of mine, Jeremy Mullins, you guys got to host. He played in the state championship against Timpson. Going to a new school. Talk about the growth of Texas and these new schools popping up all across the state because, well, we are the best.
Then you have, like you said, new schools popping up, and rarely does somebody open a new 2A school or a new 3A school. They're all opening in the big major metro areas. Typically, they might open for a year or two a school area that they have one middle, but they're eventually going to be 5A and 6A schools. So what you have is 5A and 6A. Between the two, we have just over 500 schools in that enrollment range. In the 5A enrollment range is the tightest disparity from the top to the bottom is about, in the current line, is about 1.7. So the largest is 1.7 times the size of the smallest. As you go down the classification, that enrollment disparity grows rather drastically. You know, in 4A, we're looking at about a 2.3, 2.4 multiplier. So nobody's opening in 500 to 1,000 student school. Now the school's going to stay at 100 to 1,000, which is that little conference 4A roughly. So we only have room for about 500 schools in 5A, 6A. So if 10 new 5A, 6A schools are added, that means the 10 smallest 5As are likely dropping to 4A. And it just stretches that enrollment disparity from top to bottom. As we try to address that, we can create the same problem down in 3A and down to 2A. So that's what the new schools are doing. It's why we need to look at new models for alignment moving forward. We actually already have a list of 5 different models that we're going to examine for the 26 through 28 alignment. 2 years now, we haven't released 24 through 26 yet. So that's the new schools. You start really packing 5A, 6A to the point that you've got to give some up. That just stretches the enrollment disparity for the smaller conferences. I mean, we've got to find a new way to attack that.
Have you gotten, now, and tell me if I'm wrong, and we had a little technical difficulties and you talked about this, but how much has it helped getting those numbers out to let, okay, this is where you fall if you have this enrollment from your snapshot? Do you feel like that has been beneficial from having to panic and find your non-district football games and stuff like that? Do you think that's been beneficial for coaches as opposed to sending everybody to every region center, to Lubbock, to Abilene, to everywhere to get games? Do you think that's helped coaches?
I do think it's helped coaches, not necessarily related to scheduling. That's kind of going the same way it always has. What it has helped, though, is it gives opportunity to look at their situation. After we release those cutoffs, we'll have some schools call us and say, hey, this just isn't going to work. How far we're going to be driving? We will opt out, right? And we have opt-out options for schools. Can't opt down based on enrollment, but you can opt out. And we had several choose to do that, in particular in 4A and 5A, because it gave them a much more acceptable travel range than what they would have had at that geographic outlier in the smaller division. And so it's helped in a number of ways. It's helped increase transparency. It's helped with our verification process. You know, the numbers are out in the world. We inevitably, industrious high school sports fans across the state send their emails about how their neighbor school is cheating, and we need to look at numbers. So it's helped our verification process. process, but it's also how schools make very, very informed decisions about, we really want to stay Division II as well as the other division line there. You know, we're right at the top of 4A, we go to 5A, we are probably, if we stay in 4A, we're going a long way. So it also makes those informed decisions that ultimately improves the pass.
Well, and here's another, this is probably a curveball outside of realignment, but one of the things that I've seen, of course, a lot of that social media that's been out, but it seems like in the last few, months or so, the really cracking down on that recruiting and those sorts of things, schools getting, some sanctions, if you will, or NCAA like, trying to crack down on. Can you talk a little bit about just really, we want to make it still pure and right in high school athletics, because it just seems like there's been some of that over the last few months.
Going into that, I mean, first of all, I don't know that the high school sports world is terribly different in terms of recruiting and the change schools for athletics. It's everything. But it's somewhat different. And, we've done sort of scientific research on this. This is more anecdotal in the way I see things. But the proliferation of youth sports has really impacted high school sports in a number of ways. Some of those are positive, and many of those are negative, though. From player behavior and travel ball and non-school sports is typically different than it is in high school sports, and that behavior is now infiltrating high school sports. You're seeing more and more incidents in high school basketball, for example, of bench clearing brawls and fights and really ugly incidents. Fan behavior, which is really negatively contributing to our official shortage problem, coming in from non-school sports. And some of that leaks into, hey, we've been together on this thing. None of us live in the same town, but we've been playing on the same travel ball team for years. We go to the same school and look at what a great team. So that has definitely played into it. And I also think people are more attuned to it now. The general public, coaches, school administrators have always been attuned to it. I mean, people in the general public are much more aware of it now. They're looking for it. And we have the social media posts and any number of ways that information is much more readily available now. You see a lot more allegations with actual evidence behind them compared to what we had several years ago. So we want to keep the game as pure as we can. We want it to be as balanced of a playing field as we can possibly make it for schools. So it's important to us to maintain that. And so as we get those allegations and there's evidence to support it, and we're addressing them.
Well, and again, I think that's again, what UIL does throughout the year from when it started, only athletically, but academic UIL does do a great job. And as a guy who will be in Grand, Texas tonight officiating basketball, I appreciate the crackdown of trying to, with the 3 strikes and really trying to realize, hey, if you want games to happen, you got to have officials and you got to understand how to act when you go. And I appreciate what y'all and just really the officials organizations have been doing for that. And I appreciate you taking the time this morning. And I know that it's been a big year. It doesn't really probably slow down much for you guys. We were talking earlier how I was at a junior high basketball game and those kids will be running track in about 2 weeks. So we appreciate you taking the time, Dr. Harrison, and look forward to the big unveiling next Thursday where all the schools of the big country will be going or staying put. But we appreciate you taking the time this morning. All right, I appreciate it again. Jamie Harrison, Deputy Executive of UIL, the organization that helps happen here in the state of Texas. When we come back, we'll have Misty's back and we'll talk what she thinks right after this.
Ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4. Bases loaded. The Hodge Pack, always clear the bases. Right here on 106.9, the Country Giant.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks execution. Tailgates going way past post-game. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swag. Brisket and smoker. Miller Lite and cool. America's team playing America's greatest sports. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place. For over 34 years, Paul Abilene has been the place to find the best from Chevrolet, Buick, and GMC. That is still true today. Great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car, truck, or SUV, come see us or shop 24/7 at LawrenceHallAbileneOnline.com. Voted Abilene's best new car dealer for over 28 years. You, our customer.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience? Yeah, you're missing one of the best atmospheres around. For the amazing food, and great
could be
drinks, live music, TVs to watch your favorite sports.
What is happening? Is this okay, this angle here?
Tell your friends about it.
On my camera.
I'm not gonna lie. Right now, I do not know.
Bless Hodgie, it's okay.
Head out to Potosi at
It is
897
okay.
FM 1750 for the
Well, Greg, save the day, because
Hello, in the big country. My name is
the button right here. PGM, all PGM.
Is that just to run the phone through the board?
No, it's all those. I mean, all these have a PGM. If they're not down, it does not go out on the air. Because I could only hear him in Q.
Yeah, because you had it playing with a speaker in here, but it wasn't coming through the air, and you could hear him through the mic on.
Yeah. We were like trying to.
But that was, sometimes it was just nothing. Like,
Yeah.
It's nothing because I can't tell you what I text Greg because they could hear it.
I'm sorry. Speaking of, I like that hat. It's cute. I like it.
It just randomly unsnaps that my head is gigantic. She's like,
It's the same
You
reason.
really do have a big head. Like,
It's very Mitch-like.
it doesn't look out of proportion for your body. You're just
I will tell you, that I was like 7 inches, like watermelon on top.
really? So you've grown into that well.
Yes.
I tell people I had the body for the 3-point line, and now I can have an O-line.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't look like when I look at you, I'm not like, oh my God, he has a big head.
There are
So-
randomly people that you do, like, you look at.
Right. Like, could you imagine if you had like a little pinhead?
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. But like, you don't, it doesn't look like that. Just so you know, you look in proportion to your body.
Check that off on my.
Yeah, in case you were wondering what people thought of you.
I want to know what level is you're not. What level are you not, like, you know, when people see certain people like, are you okay? You sick? We question you.
Let's see, I need to lose a lot of weight. No, your head looks too big.
Yeah, don't get too scared when it comes back.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Live and everything in between. Want to give a big shout out to Greg Austin. Go out and vote for Greg along with JB Cloud. Opportunity for them to win some Texas Regional Radio Awards. Apologize for a little bit of the dead air that was happening. You know, one button can make and change a world. And we were having a button that was not changing the world. So appreciate those that were jamming out to an opportunity for you to pray if you needed to. And that's what we did there. But now it is time for Missy's Bag.
Literally never gets old, the sounder.
I need a camera right here
Yes.
for that movie.
I think that was Josh's idea. That was fantastic.
I have some skills.
Umpire cam. That's like right there.
Okay, it is time. This is a sports related question. I've been
Thank God.
kind of on y'all lately. So, and shout out obviously to Mulligans. Got a lot going on this weekend. Soulmates is making their debut this Saturday. So
That's who should have sponsored your last couple of questions.
honestly, yes, I will be in touch with Soulmates. Yeah.
That's a band, that's
I need a band called Deal Breakers. Is there one out there?
I
Because
bet there is.
that's what we've been talking about. But no.
Deal breaker.
And always remember, you can do your call seating, which I think is so key, like that you can do that at Mulligan.
We've got,
So much
championship in-
Yeah, it's huge. They always have great specials for the bevies. So get on out to 1166 Ben Ritchie Drive. They will definitely take care of you. And so we appreciate all the folks at Mulligan. What's the best duo football?
Like,
In history or right now?
Let's
Are you
go
talking
same
like
team.
Cowboy, are you talking quarterback receiver? Are you talking about?
That's up to you. You tell me what the best duo in football right now is.
Well, I think you'd have a hard time saying, to me, just right away, even the year that they had was great. The year that they had, the game they had against the Packers, I don't think you could. But CeeDee Lamb and Dak would be one that you could battle. That's one of the best right now. But because of their lack of success in January, probably, I think you have a hard time not saying it's Kelsey. So that's probably go. Right now, Lamar doesn't have any that I would say would pair him with. I don't think Brock Purdy has been, as you say, it's him and McCaffrey or Debo. Now, you could say, is it McCaffrey and Debo Samuel?
Well, that was actually what I was going to say.
Could
You stole it. Thanks a lot.
He does that a lot. It's really rude.
Turned into
Yeah.
stealing my answer.
He's very.
We haven't married for 5 years. So-
We are. I'm y'all's
But
radio wife.
But I will say that, one, I think good minds think alike, which I would be more nervous about you thinking like me.
Well, that's really
True that.
my life.
But Debo's going to be one of those this weekend that if he plays, may be a huge factor. I would say more. I would probably say Mahomes and why they find a way to.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Chiefs would not be where they're at, because the receiving corps has had monumental struggles, and so that's an obvious one. But one that's been missed, is that same relationship with Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, with Andrews going, injured, not having played. I haven't heard if he's supposed to play this week. There was a chance he was last week, and then they said they're going to revisit it for this week. But Mark Andrews is one of those guys that, with Lamar Jackson doing what he does and moving around and stuff like that, Andrews seems to always find the place to be where he can be that, and they're one of those teams that has had traditional wide receiver shortcomings where their superstar tight end has offset that, so I like that one. But I was going to say it was the 49ers with Samuel and McCaffrey because of what they can do together, both of them running the ball, both of them catching the ball. It makes how you set up to play defense against them such a challenge.
And you can't double up one because the other one's way too good to be singled up.
Right.
The other one, and again, I know it's on the Cowboy train. Unfortunately, we didn't get a year of him because he got hurt. I think if he would have had another full year, what he did last year, I think Diggs and Parsons could fall into that category as well from a defensive side. Because again, we're going to get into the do not let your family be morons a little bit later on. But I do think it would have been one that would battle for that because you have to look at really the best duo because he is I think he'll be the first ballot Hall of Famer if he's not. Tucker is another pretty good duo for a team as well.
See, I'm going to go with the D on this one. And I do have the sweatshirt and have sported it probably. I'm going to go Parsons and Bland. Their little run going earlier, obviously it's kind of fell off in the last few games and didn't do as well as they were. But, you know, he pressures that QB and then Bland gets a pick six. So for me, I would go with that and just something opposite because I thought y'all may go QB receiver. What about a coach and a player? Is there a duo that you would battle?
I think it's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I thought you had that exact answer, but you did not. You stole Josh's.
Well,
so.
I think that's the most, if you're gonna throw that in there.
But it could
You know,
be best duo.
You know, right now, the way that Shanahan has, you know, his whole offense running, you know, that you have a hard time, you know, like, I don't really know how good Brock Purdy is still. You know, like he was the 7th round draft pick, obviously all those stories and all the things that go with that. And then this year, there were some moments of like, yeah, you know, but they keep producing offensively. They have a lot of weapons, and what Shanahan has done to get people in the right place to make all that stuff happen, I think that's a hard duo to.
Jefferson, obviously before.
From a coach's perspective, and again, I know we're such a recent Gary Sheffield stats like it was his phone
His
number.
head is full.
Uh,
We've talked about this.
But
Yes.
right now, I mean, you could very well say what Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson have done. Now they've got a game to still win and get to a Super Bowl. Real quick, let's pause for station identification.
Get ready. The Hodge Pack. Settle in right now. It is time. And Misty and Hodge. It's time for hour 2 of the Hodge Pack.
Appreciate it again. Rolling into hour number 2, brought to you by Coleman County State Bank. You talk about that because let's go ahead and go into it because I want to have time to talk about the championship games. But you brought up coaches, and we just had Jim Harbaugh hired as the LA coach. Bill Belichick, I would say the greatest duo is Belichick-Brady of all time because of the number of Super Bowls. And then you could probably rank them. I think maybe Tomlin and Roethlisberger had a pretty good run, only with the one Super Bowl. Dungy and Peyton only had the one Super Bowl. And so.
What about Hurts and Brown? That's when they were rolling. I mean, I don't know that they're like, I mean, I would put them like maybe top 10. I'm not saying they're the best, but I mean, you could literally rank these.
Oh, yeah, they're statistically, Dak and CD would have to be right up there statistically of what.
Yeah, in the top 5 for sure.
But when you start thinking about coaches, the coaching hiring has only 2 left. We couldn't third to McDermott. McDermott staying put, McCarthy staying put, Sirianni staying put in Philadelphia. So there's only 2 open, and that is the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. Some thought that Dan Quinn may get that. Still had no news out of there. But what was decided was Jim Harbaugh got the LA Chargers job. Josh and I are in the Lawrenceville Headline Report talking about that's probably the only job that is maybe a coach away from being a possibility of doing what Matt Stafford did and what Tom Brady did in year 1 winning the Super Bowl. Are you shocked, or do you think it's the right thing that the Falcons decided to not go with Bill Belichick and go with the younger Raheem Morris?
I think it's a good move. We briefly talked about this. Yeah, I just think that
Because recently,
hasn't done anything. And so for me, I think having somebody maybe younger with some more innovation is going to be helpful for the Falcons. So I am not one bit shocked at all that they did not go with Belichick.
Right, because there's at least an argument that Belichick's style, the game has moved past that.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that it has, and I don't know all the
In
inside,
certain
but there's
aspects,
an
yeah.
argument. because the way they built teams there with generally a whole lot of, lean on the defense, do just enough on offense to keep it going until Brady took that next step, but him controlling everything to maybe the micromanagement degree that he was kind of famous for, that might not work everywhere, and so I can see with the interview process, we don't know how those went, and we don't know if Belichick in the interview process, was like basically, if I come here, this is how it's going to be.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, we have to judge, like.
Right.
He had mentioned it in one of his last press conferences before they had the one where they decided to part ways, that he would be open to relinquishing some of the GM duties. And then, you interview, and I think what's interesting is not only did they go with Raheem Morris, that's fine, but you brought in Bill Belichick twice, and you had to bring him in for a second interview to not only do that, but also decide not to hire him. And so will he be, and I wanted to call into Unsportsmanlike this morning on the way in, is Bill Belichick this year's Sean Payton? In that the difference is, yes, he's 72 years old, but if the Philadelphia Eagles keep going forward, Sirianni is going to be. If McCarthy and they figure it out and don't have another top season or have any issues, is he still going to be a chance? Is he this year's Sean Payton? I don't want to go from 72 to 72. Will he be this year's Sean Payton, waiting around and everybody looking over? Oh, are they going to call Bill to replace me? Because like it or not, he still has the resume to say, at least we can try with him because he's won 6 Super Bowls.
Right.
And 2 more as an assistant.
I think the last 3 years of doing nothing is obviously what's hurting him. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get a head coaching job somewhere and is at a lower level, like is on their coaching staff, but not as the head coach.
Oh,
that wouldn't shock me at all.
No, Bill Belichick's not going in OC.
And he might not, but I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't get hired. I'm not on his train, so.
Now, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't get. He's not going. I don't think he'll get the next 2 jobs. I don't think he's going to be one of the ones that fill the Seahawks or the Commanders job. I think they'll go somewhere else. And what stinks for them, I guess it's a good and a bad thing. I think a lot of people are interested in Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions, the DC and the OC there. Well, they've got at least one more game before they can do anything there.
Yeah.
And of the 2 jobs that are open, I really think, even though the Cowboys I think still should be good, and back to what you said, Hurts and Brown still very good in Philadelphia. You got to figure out the drama. I think the Washington Commanders job is by far the better of the 2, because yes, it's a tough division and all those things, but you got the drama, you got all those things in the West. San Francisco ain't going anywhere. The Rams aren't going anywhere. Sean McVay's really good. So I think the Commanders' job is the better of the 2, but I still don't think he gets those. But I do think he's still going to be hireable down the road. So anyway, that is Misty's bag. Who's your double? Feel free to send it to us on our Facebook page or at the Twitter, now X, whatever you want to tweet or Twitter. When we come back, much more Hodge Pack right after this.
Would y'all want Bill as the Cowboys head coach? Yeah, same. Would you?
I would take him over McCarthy.
Yeah, I'm just
And
not.
Why?
I'm just not.
Anytime if you give Bill a loaded roster, what he would have. I think he would be. Let me rephrase that. I wouldn't have fired McCarthy to go get Belichick, but if Jerry felt like a move was to be made, I would take Bill.
Would you take Jimmy Johnson back right now?
I think he could still coach. I mean, football's football. Yeah, still is
Out of those three, a pick, who would you pick right now for the Dallas Cowboys to
McCarthy,
coach?
Johnson, or Belichick. I'd probably still pick Belichick.
Who would you pick?
I don't know, Jimmy coming back with.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I know. Like, let Monument bring me back. But man, he can fire somebody willing to give. It can't be any worse than the known. We know what the known is. Let's go with the unknown.
Yeah, you don't see Mike McCarthy getting the kind of reaction from players that Jimmy did back.
Or
in
the
day.
fans. Like,
Oh, yeah.
nobody likes bro,
Well, and I think it would have been similar.
especially right now.
If you thought it, and I've said this, if what's up, man?
Hey, when you leave today, leave that front door open, brother. We've got guest package coming in. That's part of our powering.
Okay, don't lock the front glass door.
Yes, sir. Don't want to bring that door.
Okay, we'll do. Come on. You know, they had a chance to, if they would have gotten Bill. It went Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson. Drama happened. Barry Switzer comes in. Barry Switzer leaves. Did Campo follow him with Phillips?
I think it's a minute for those guys, but
But you think about the stretch of the coaches that we've had. Yeah, it was Campo then Phillips because it went Phillips, Garrett, McCarthy.
I should have asked that. That's my question.
Is what?
You can ask it next week. We're already discussing it.
Which one?
I feel like that question, if you could, which coach out of these three would you have for the upcoming season for the Cowboys? Belichick, McCarthy, or Jimmy Johnson making a comeback? I'm going Jimmy. I'm going Jimmy again, because we already know what McCarthy is capable of. He already shows us. So I would be willing to go with the unknown over the known at this point. I'm so irritated that they did not fire him.
Well, we really
I'm sick of
we
it.
could roll into that
Let's go on
because
here.
we've got the Prescott.
Yes.
That's my question. You know, rolling that. We'll do that. We'll come back from that because my other question is, how do you handle that when you've got Mama saying needs to get out? Tad Prescott saying if he could leave Dallas, he would. And then you got Parsons' brother. Of course, Parsons tweeted, said, hey, people know where I stand. I love this place. I want to make a championship here.
Mhm.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well, we should ask Patty because he deals with it. Brittany's calmed down a lot. But there was a time when the brother and
What's up,
Brittany
Moy?
Mahomes,
What's up, poor
oh my
James?
gosh.
Mom, Dad.
I was thinking about that, and there was another one I was thinking about, just like,
People go to bat for their families. I get it, but you gotta sometimes keep your mouth shut. You're making it worse for your family member.
making it work.
Welcome back to the Back. We keep rolling Land Cattle. We're hanging out at the Potomac here, brought to you by Lotto Video. Hey, be sure you head over to Lotto Land Hodge Pack this week for lunch. Enjoy it. Tell them thank you for all they do for us. Appreciate that for Lotto Land and Cattle. We were talking in the break. We're going to keep rolling. Again, we can't talk about Dallas Cowboys stuff on the field because it's not happening. But there's been a lot off the field. And Misty threw out, we talked about Bill Belichick and he not getting hired and all those things, is that would I have taken Bill Belichick over Mike McCarthy? And then Misty asked the following question.
So I was just curious if right now you could pick a coach for the Dallas Cowboys out of McCarthy, Belichick, or we're going to go back and bring Jimmy Johnson back. Who would you pick and why?
I would still, again, unfortunately, hasn't done the next level of life 3 years in a row. Oregon love that. I still think, and like I said, I would not have fired Mike McCarthy just to go get Bill Belichick. But if Jerry Jones and the organization felt like it was time to try something different, as you said, the unknown, or move away from the known, which is McCarthy coming up short, I would have been okay hiring Bill Belichick. Jimmy Johnson fired up. He did the pep talk at halftime 2 weeks ago. Obviously, it didn't get piped in, it didn't work. I think when Bill Belichick has a roster that's pretty healthy, the guy still is one of the best in the business. I'd have been fine with Bill Belichick.
And yeah, so I'm going to say we talked in the break with Belichick. The last 3 years, he hasn't done anything. So he does not impress me. He is a GOAT, get it, but I'm not on his train. So for me, bring back Jimmy Johnson. Like, he just got in the Ring of Honor. He's going to take him to a Super Bowl. I mean, what a story would that be? If he came back, he was our coach, won the Super Bowl. I mean, all the things. It's just, I'm obviously in dreamland over here, but that would just be great. So I would take Jimmy all day long. Right now, even though the game has changed, he hasn't coached in ages. I don't care. There's something about his spirit and his fire. When I'm around, or, when you see it, when you're around that, you want it, you want to go get it, he fires me up.
I agree with that. I mean, the fact that it would be a definite fire-up move.
And it's, like I said, it's better than the known of we can't make it past the first round in the playoffs. So give me known right now. I don't care. Give me something besides what we're doing in Dallas.
Well, I think that's very spicy folk. They're very, bland in demeanor, and it just, some people like that, some people don't. Obviously, it leads to especially with the previous era with Garrett, led to just a kind of a feeling of indifference. Kind of like, oh yeah, we'll do all right in the regular season, and barely miss the playoffs or barely make the playoffs, and we'll just run it back again next year, and no one seems to be really fiery about it, and that was always kind of disappointing. So,
yeah, thanks,
to your
Jerry.
point, Jimmy Johnson would definitely be a spark, but I mean, realistically, he has been out for too long, I think.
Dallas obviously won the 2 Super Bowls. Then he went 4 seasons in Miami, 2 and 3, 5 postseason games in 2000. So I do think a little bit of that plays into coming back, but I like the thought of what would it be like if he did come back. We saw that with Snyder in Kansas State. They did that with Joe Gibbs a few years ago when they were still the Redskins. So it would be interesting, but we decided to go with McCarthy. But in all that, not only McCarthy, we talked about drama. There used to be a TV show called Dallas, and J.R. Ewing and Who Shot J.R. and
Great
all that.
show.
Ironically, started again 1978, the year the Hodge came into existence. In that,
10-year-old.
I don't disagree with that. But now we look at the drama that's happened since Cowboy season has ended. We've got season that would be the people they're getting tossed out of games. Said, hey, we need to leave, and Dak ain't in. Tad Prescott, the brother of Dak, said, man, if we could leave Dallas, if Dak could leave, I'd tell him to leave. And then Michael Parsons' brothers popping off it. How do you handle that drama, knowing all that's been said? I said, CD needs to take that phone from his mom, that girlfriend.
Mama Bear, she came in hot.
And you mentioned the family.
I mean, yeah,
but at what level do you realize you need to shut your mouth and not hit sin?
Yeah, it's one of those, like, obviously, and just knowing, like, yeah, you want to go to bat for your kids and for your family, but you're literally making it worse for them by doing it. It's like whenever these parents are at a youth sporting event and they're yelling and going crazy on the officials or their kids, it's like, I had to say bleep. We don't have a dumb button, and I don't want to get fired. So bleep it is. But like,
fill in your bleep. You're probably that parent.
Yes. Yeah, I'm talking to you exactly. But you know, people are passionate, they get fiery, I get it, but you gotta know when to hold them and to fold them.
Well, I think that if one thing that you can take out of this that's somewhat encouraging is that these players involved, you know, are, you know, three of the better players on the Cowboys, you know, probably the top three. You throw Diggs in there, and, you know, and I think that injury when it happened, I thought was really going to hurt the Cowboys. It did. It just took a few weeks for that to settle in. But it at least means a conversation that they're in the family circles and wanting to win.
Right, yeah.
I mean, like, they're not satisfied with where they're at because they want to win. And now you could obviously say it's discouraging that they all think they need to leave in order to be able to win. But
You know,
at this point, I don't know if I disagree.
that who needs to move on?
Everybody. I mean, I need to move on. You know,
You need a new team.
I think I may need to move on too.
Well, you're two teams between
I know,
the
I
Bills.
mean, lots of tears for me. I mean, between the Cowboys and then the Bills, I'm like, boys, like, what are we doing? And, you know, we talked about, we are American. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Because like you said, teams would love to be 12. That does not satisfy. And so it is elevated. We've talked about the quarterback position of the Dallas Cowboys being pressure that's on that. I can't imagine all the pressure on Dak. But when you've gone 12-5 for the last 3 years, like, the fans are sick of it. And we are not satisfied with that because, again, we're America's team. We're the top franchise. And we haven't been to the Super Bowl or even past the divisional round in how many years? I mean, it's time. It's time. It's time. I could go all day, but
But I don't
digress.
know. I mean, I don't think the quarterback's not. And I know, you know, Greg said, you know, how many coaches have we gone through? And yes, is Jones part of it? Is Jones
100% he's part of it.
But I don't think there's not many upgrades
No.
at quarterback.
But again, screw it. Let's go with the unknown, like I'm saying. Geez,
People that
I think
say
Dak has to
Dak
go,
needs
but
to demand a trade and needs to go. Cowboys can't win despite of it. Others say that the Cowboys can't win because of him. I mean, so it's all across the board. But I call it the Tony Romo effect, you know, because there are a lot of people that like thought Tony Romo just didn't have enough to get him to the next place. I disagree completely. I think Tony Romo was very good. I think that he didn't have good teams around him, and the Cowboys were winning purely because of him.
right.
And then when the team finally got good, he got hurt, and that led to Dak Prescott starting in what I felt like was the 2016 was the year the Cowboys were the best that I ever. And then Romo got hurt. Still went all right because Prescott stepped in, but I think that would have been better with that. We can talk about that. But all that to say, Dak needs to go because he can't get it done, or Dak needs to go because he can go get it done somewhere else, or whatever, wherever you're at on that train. If that happens, if Dak is not the quarterback for the 2024, you know, when September 2024 rolls around, who is it going to be? And is there any chance that person is better than Dak Prescott?
I don't think there is
Probably not.
There is not an upgrade out there that you can go get. It's, you know, Kirk Cousins is probably going to stay. He's not an upgrade. The upgrades that are out there are 2 of them are playing this weekend. Really, 3 of them, and I don't think 4. I think Jared Goff is better than Dak. But he has taken what he's got and moved on to another round. But I think they're out there. I don't think it is available.
Yeah, probably then.
Somebody else, and they're not leaving to come to Dallas.
Right.
So when we come back, Jimmy Johnson will not be the coach. Bill Belichick will not be the coach. Mike McCarthy will. But when we come back, Josh will have it smarter after the break.
Yeah.
Get off your keister. The game. Or stay there. Josh will be big man.
Keister and Josh in the same sentence.
Josh picked the splinters out of his center.
That's funny. Yeah, maybe. How many years do you give Dak though? You know, because that's the other thing.
I do know.
It's so hard.
You were the most important one of Big Country Electrical.
I agree. Where like with the whole, there's nobody else out there that's going to be an upgrade. But how many seasons do you?
I'm here to tell you about.
You know what I mean?
Well, to me, the other thing that you've got,
I mean, obviously he had a great season. It's just when we really needed those moments, we fell a little short.
to me, I think the other deal that you've got to look at more than Sarah,
I blame McCarthy over Dak because that's another debate. Who is it? Is it Dak or is it McCarthy? If one of them has to go, who goes?
I don't think.
I would pick McCarthy.
I don't think that,
He's gotten better on the play calling, but he's still, in my opinion, not. I mean, he still calls some of the dumbest
I think
plays.
it's a little different, but I think it's similar in who won 6 Super Bowls. Was it Brady or was it Belichick? It's a combination of
Just agree or what?
well, just I go back to pressure, and I go back, and I know I always go back to golf. But that's what, like the other day, this 20-some-year-old kid has a 6-foot putt. If he makes it, he wins a champion. He wins a tournament as an amateur. It's only been done like 4 or 5 times since the World War II era. If he misses it, he's got to go to a playoff, and who knows what happens.
Right.
Instead, he makes the putt, wins the tournament, gets all that comes with it except the money, decides to turn pro, and you see it in golf where somebody's leading a tournament, and then on Sunday, they can't handle that lead, and somebody from behind. We're going to do no one's at the battle, roll into some chance, no chance, preview everybody's got the Ravens winning, and it's the best scoring defense.
How many minutes do we have?
Yeah, 1, 2.
Okay, I need to pee. I don't want to cut you off, but I got to pee.
See ya, Hodge.
Bye.
But back to that pressure thing is, the Ravens are the better team and should win Sunday. And in the same realm, the Cowboys were the better team and should have won, but they still had to prove that they could win a game like that. It's the same thing with Baltimore. They got to prove that they can beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. And that's why it would not surprise me if the Chiefs find a way. I mean, it's a 6. Mahomes has not ever not been in an AFC Championship game. The only thing that's new here is he's having to go on the road to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Tammy, are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in mortgages. Buying a home should not make you cry. You deserve a team of mortgage experts who have your best interest in mind. Visit let us help you make your next move.
You lunching?
If you're looking for a mortgage team and a league of their own, Coleman County State Bank is the place for you.
You're going to Grand today.
You need a bathroom. I'm sorry, the trash at the back.
A bathroom in the bathroom?
Everything in between, we're rocking and rolling. We still have knowing exactly a little bit of chance, no chance, and then give you this weekend's championship games as the Chiefs head into Baltimore and the Detroit Lions head out west to see who will be representing Super Bowl 58. But now it is time for one of our favorite segments. Josh is going to make it a little smarter.
All right, yeah. first of all, I have to start this with just having a moment of realization. You know, yesterday I got into the truck to take the tool, and I was wearing a suit and a tie. So Luke says, "Dad, why are you dressed so nice today?" And I said, "Well, I have a speaking engagement at ACU." And Molly said, "Why do anyone want to listen to you?" Which you shouldn't. I mean,
Please tell me you just pulled the car over and introduced her.
Took care of business.
She's very nice. So anyway, I don't know why anyone would want to listen to me, but today I do have some advice for you. I had the occasion of having to spend way too much time in a waiting room earlier this week. Not really a pleasant situation ever. I mean, no one wants to be there. I mean, it's boring and all
It's
of that.
the most accurate named room in the country.
Yeah,
Ever.
yeah.
Yes.
The long short of it is, I don't know if it was on full display. Go to a waiting room. Keep your voice down. I don't need to know all the things that I've learned about people in waiting rooms over the years. And I don't feel why, and I'm sure y'all have seen this, it seems like there are certain people who go into these situations like this, and either they are the most unaware people on the planet, or they are putting on some sort of performative art for other people in the room. Have y'all ever noticed that? Have y'all seen?
Yes, and watching shows like on their phone that's super
Without
loud.
earbuds?
Yes.
Yes, well, yes.
And that happens on airplanes too.
Yes.
The no earbuds, like video,
Oh,
like that's something that I have a
worst.
strict rule against. Like if I'm gonna play a video or something on my phone, if I don't have earbuds, I'm not doing it. Like,
Right.
The video's gonna wait.
Because
the
you're
mute is on.
self-aware.
Like, but I'm sitting here, you know, and these talking about, you know, like first off about, I guess she has a live cam for her bird bath. So we were getting updates on what kind of birds were at the bird bath.
Oh.
Which I couldn't tell you the difference between most birds, but these people seemed very interested in the birds at the bird bath. And then I thought, what? Like, I mean, I understand bird watching and you know, putting some bird seed out and having, you know, the birds, yeah, watching them in the bird bath. I mean, I guess there's some value in that, but a live feed on your cell phone, I was really kind of caught off guard by that. And then what truly gets bad is when people start talking about, and oftentimes in the situation, it does, you know, like in a medical facility of some sort, you know, yes, you know, and it's just like,
And
you know,
and
like,
they're I hate to say age group, but there is a group, and that's one of the things I learned when I first started doing ministry and you did hospital visits. They're going to show you the
Yeah.
scar.
And
They're
tell
going
you
to
all
tell
the
you
things.
everything about it. And it's almost like, I wouldn't tell you if I was healthy, much less going down that road.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear about your
well, that's the thing, it's
colonoscopy,
like, yeah,
Karen.
no one needs to know
No,
about
we
it.
don't want to know
And,
about it.
like, and it's,
Unless somebody asks, it's literally like fantasy football. Nobody cares. I mean,
Yeah.
they do.
But-
They want you to be well, but that's,
well, yeah.
I don't need
Hey, how
breakdowns.
was your colonoscopy? Like, it was terrible. I mean,
Well, what's the other,
Why-
there's what, is
there's
there-
no
is there
alternative.
another
Is it great?
possibility?
Does it feel
Yeah,
good? No, quit asking that.
Yeah, but,
It went
I
well.
mean,
Yeah.
and what I struggle with is, like I said, some sort of like, I think they're speaking loudly, trying to like,
Trust me.
They want the attention.
Yeah.
In the waiting room.
I know people that are.
Waiting room divas,
oh,
if you will.
I thought
that
about-
might be a new one.
I thought about church divas when you said
Yes,
that.
me too.
Uh,
But yeah, it's like they're putting on a performance, you know, it's like, just sit down and shut up.
Yeah,
but
totally
but
agree.
here's the other thing in that waiting room. Understand, if you're gonna be there even a little blip of a time, obviously rolling into an extended period of time, and you're on a group text that obviously has a lot of conversation going on, there is no need for that ding
To be
Just
auto
still-
switch.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
flip, hey, orange line, let me set orange line on that iPhone. But yeah, the way, Josh, you're exactly right. You start people watching.
Oh, yes, it's very,
If you're not learning about, did you learn anything about a particular bird?
well, I can't remember.
Or did you download that camera?
He went and bought that camera.
Actually, I walked over like, how do you have this set up? I want to do this.
I'm scared. Are you watching us right now? Is there a camera
there
in
is a
here?
camera. It's
In
right there. I
In
can
the
see.
studio?
Josh has only,
Josh has a live feed. He watches us 24/7.
Josh has OnlyFans bird
That
watching.
will,
Hodge Pack
that will get you
OnlyFans.
in trouble.
That's
So,
going viral.
OnlyFans Josh watching birds.
oh, good mess. But no, I didn't.
People are
I don't
Googling that
remember
right
the
now.
specific name of the bird that they were very excited about. It was yellow. That's all I know. I was doing my best to not pay attention.
But the building was on.
a lot.
So would
so
you
much
say
to do.
the thing that knowing is half the battle is you've got to understand, we tell kids, we hear like Peyton, our nephew, Peyton, inside voice.
And read the room.
Yes.
Well,
Read
no,
the room,
well,
people.
that's it. Just if you're in a waiting room, shut up. That's pretty much like the
Can I
gist of it.
whisper?
Well,
Yes,
shut up's probably a.
but no, when you get me frustrated to level, you just need to shut up. Like but yes, I mean obviously you can't say no talking. I mean,
We do have a
but
quiet night.
it could be a library.
Quiet, please.
Next
Yeah.
time you go, swing by here, grab the quiet, please.
That
Sign.
would be a nice bit.
Please, and I'm gonna video from across the waiting room, and then we'll put it on our OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Quiet, please. Well, I mean, yeah, I think that would work. But just as long as you said the inside, act like you're a library, and the most important thing is know that no one else cares. And maybe it's just my bad interpretation, but I feel like sometimes you're in situations where people speak loudly to somebody specifically so other people will hear what they're saying.
Yes.
And they want to be asked what you're talking about.
Oh, it's
Like,
so annoying.
And it's like you can get that feeling that like they're goading people into whatever it's about.
They
And
need
you
the
often
attention,
see you often see this in where people are talking about something that makes them feel good about themselves or like makes them seem important. Like they'll talk about or their new car and what kind of thing this car has. And they're like, you're obviously brought that up just as like you're ready to and so just so this is situation, but
So this
just
morning,
keep it down.
So this morning, as you're driving again, listen to 106.9 on your way to the doctor's office. No, when you get in there, tune it down, actually get your earpods and listen to the rest, because when we come back, no chance, and we're getting ready for championship weekend.
And everything in between. Don't fire you up for the day. The Hodge Pack.
From eco-friendly thermostats.
That is.
Hearing zero sort of things.
Your Touchstone Energy Cooperative. Companies smarter, work harder.
So OnlyFans, is that still like relevant? It's still like a thing. I've actually never been on that site.
The next step.
What's up, Morning, Eric Hood?
The weirdest probably ever heard. It would probably be so cringy that it's not.
Well,
The number of teachers that have been let go.
I know, right?
that's really the extent of my knowledge of OnlyFans is like some like news story of like high school teacher, you
Yeah.
know.
It literally is.
Gets busted.
It's a different version of Hey Miss Davis when you go to prom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that. What if I'm a teacher,
Remember on
And
Facebook Live, I think.
okay, and I'm on OnlyFans, and I'm just showing my feet because people have a foot fetish. Should I get fired? Like, let's preface this with, I've never been to OnlyFans. I don't have a profile. I'm also not a teacher, but like,
There's a lot of hypotheticals.
but should should a teacher get fired for having only
I think it would depend on the band they had with the.
audience?
Yes. I don't know, because.
I mean, teachers don't get paid enough. They need a side gig.
That's what all of them say when they get busted.
I know. I mean,
Oh.
I'm not mad at them. Pay your bills, babe. I'm with
Well,
you.
but there's people that would say it's not any of your business.
What they do on personal
Yeah,
time.
like
Right.
if they weren't like actively promoting it to their students.
Yeah, exactly.
Their 15-year-old students should not find their profile.
Exactly. What's
Yeah.
wrong with the 15-year-old?
Yeah, like, so I can see the argument on all sides of it.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's Jingle J, it's Fuzzy Wuzzy, it's my side gig, and I'm getting my feet on OnlyFans because teachers don't make enough. What is wrong with it?
All right, for those that are watching on Facebook Live, your thoughts?
I just don't feel like there's anything wrong with it.
If it's feet.
If it's feet.
Well, if it's,
Yoga,
I mean,
You
I'm
mean
just saying, I mean.
like
put it all
booty shot
over.
in the pants, like a booty shot.
In the yoga pants.
Okay,
They're still low.
booty shot in the yoga pants. Again, I feel like it's fine. I feel like it's fine.
Bathing suits?
Bathing suits. I mean,
I'm just saying, or there's a line somewhere.
I
Where's
mean,
it at?
if that's the case, well, I'm not a teacher, but I could be fired at CCSP. I have a bathing suit picture on my profile. Not on OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans. I'm just saying.
People are Googling you.
I don't. I'm just saying. No, there's people that look way better, and probably a little worse, but it's fine. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like the teacher should be fired. It's just their side gig, like, for their fees. I don't know. I'm just. I would.
First of all, if you recognize your teacher's feet,
I'm just saying. if
you're
it's
getting
a-
considered way too often.
I'm just saying.
What did you say?
If it's feet, I know, but y'all, there are a lot of people. There is people out there that have a
Coach getting on board for the first time, you are welcome.
I'm just saying, like,
Oh.
fight me on this because I will
I'm
go to
saying
bat for
I'm-
the teachers.
Okay, well, I'm saying, where do you draw the line?
I think
What
when
part of the bar spot? What if it's just kneecaps? I mean, Dave Campbell likes to eat them.
I think
Even
that
if you're only patron.
And all the
I'm just saying it's no different than with our stage names, Miss Cash.
No, we've never needed to be back at commercial. As are we are right now. Josh is struggling. He didn't spill water, but he did fumble. Hopefully this weekend, we got some people fumbling into the. They're going to be fumbling somewhere. Well, I think
I really got flustered on that one.
Yeah, Josh is a couple shades of red. But
I did laugh at it, like. maybe-
it's not Christmas, even though some may think it's Christmas, walking by as red as we may be. It's time for
I
Chance
see
No
a lot
Chance.
of Christmas lights still up though randomly.
Well, because people want some joy.
Yeah.
That and they don't have time to do it, or don't want to do it. Hey, Chance No Chance, real quick. This past week, we had some division, the weekend, that's all. Bills, Chiefs, big thing that happened was, Jason Kelsey showed up, took a shot out of a bowling ball. I saw that, then became very shirtless. And then one of the things
He
that
picked up a small child.
he picked up a small child. So chance or no chance, you would take a bear hug from Jason Kelsey during that game.
Huge chance. Yeah, I'm totally getting a pic with Kelsey. Absolutely.
Bear hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you-
Take off my shirt.
I was
too.
going to ask the next question.
Oh
So
my gosh, that would.
there was a bearded guy that was next to him that looked like he could have been the stunt double. The other
Are
thing-
you hairy like him?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so battle of the hairy chest.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that was interesting, again, that's why these offensive linemen, yes, they're big fellas. Did you see how easy he jumped out of the suite and jumped back in? He looked like a WWE guy that was just going over the top rope to go back
I loved
into going back into the ring. So real quick, chance, no chance. Harbaugh and the Chargers will take over the AFC West next year.
No chance. I mean, they're going to be up. They'll be number 2, I think. But yeah, they won't take it over.
One of the things that's been talked about is if Patrick and the Chiefs were to win another Super Bowl, would Andy Reid retire? If Andy Reid is gone and a new manager, is it still?
No, if you've got Patty, my faith is in Patty. So for me, there is no chance year 1 that they take over the Chiefs in that division.
I like it. Chance, no chance. Dak wins a Super Bowl before Josh Allen or Joe Burrow.
There's a chance.
I'm going to say no chance.
I thought you might.
I'm going to say no chance on that. I do like Dak, but I'm sorry. There's no chance.
Chance, no chance. Agree, disagree. Josh Allen and Dak are now the same people.
Oh, they're very much in the same boat.
Yeah.
Right.
And are they the new Kirk Cousins measuring stick?
No.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Kirk Cousins is still the Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're different people. Josh Allen and Dak Prescott can be counted on to truly take over things happen, whereas Kirk Cousins never done that. He is what I consider just the very line of efficient, can get it done, but he's not really the star to carry much further than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of people were looking at throwing Josh Allen under the bus because last week, let's talk about those games a little bit. You know, really outside the Texans had a chance early, didn't capitalize in the first half, and then the Ravens took them to the basically destroyed them. But the rest of the game, and really the Bucs, unfortunately, a bad interception by Baker, and of course the Bills missed wide right. A lot of pressure that says, you know, Josh Allen still, and that's why I go back. You had to go to them a while ago when I was talking about Josh Allen and the pressure. You can get past the Chiefs. The Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, he's played 6 years as a starter. All 6 years he's been in the AFC Championship game. The only difference here, he's going on the road. And so in all that, the thought, and again, you got to wait a whole nother year. Josh mentioned it, September 24 again, is can Josh Allen and Dak, it's not going to matter what you do in the regular season. It's going to matter what happens when you get to
They
the postseason.
definitely are in that boat. They're definitely you're going to be considered, second-tier quarterback until you do some stuff in the playoffs, which Josh Allen has done stuff in the playoffs as far as
Right.
had miraculous games that came up short against the Chiefs.
Yeah, 13 seconds. I mean,
This
Gosh.
last game, like the Bills did what they needed to do to win. I thought they got a little more. The Bills.
I thought it almost looked like they were trying to settle the tie.
And,
Yes.
And so, but Dak did not show up against the Packers through terrible interceptions. That's not what happened to Josh Allen in the Buffalo game. I mean, so it was different there. But
Josh is just so gritty. Like, I mean, and I'm not saying Dak doesn't run for it and all of that, but man, I really like to watch Josh Allen. He is willing to do flips and all the things to get wherever he needs to be. Obviously, he slides in a lot too, as all quarterbacks do, but I don't know. He just has the grit that I don't think Dak does. And so that's why for me, that's a no chance that Dak will win it before Josh Allen.
I think Dak has the grit. I
just don't think he has as much grit as Josh Allen.
I think he has some issues with pressure. The Packers game, I think he was feeling that pressure that he feels leave Dallas because there's pressure, and I don't know that after that. But
Yeah, same.
So I want to keep rolling. We're just going to kind of roll into the finish the show here and talk about this weekend.
I want to say one thing about
Go
the
for it.
mental image of the Jason Kelsey, just so you can picture if we were to hug each other. I looked it up just to see it. Jason Kelsey, 6'3", 295. I'm 6'4", 275. That would be a pretty massive hug.
I'm actually picturing it right now.
I am trying
And
to. I am trying
and
to.
it is going on the OnlyFans.
I am trying to picture the bird camera.
I will be photo- I will be
Bird back. Whatever. But speaking of birds, one of the birds that are playing this weekend is the Ravens hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. And let's break these two games down. Again, we've got a Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks, and it's going to involve, of those, the people that have won them. You know, obviously the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. Coach Harbaugh's won one, and then you got Dan Campbell and the 49ers still trying to get over that hump. Last year they had the worst thing happen. Brock Purdy. I mean, every quarterback in their Rolodex was hurt going in to play the Eagles. So let's talk Chiefs Ravens. I still believe that you've got to find a way to prove yourselves. Your team, you're the Dallas Cowboys in this situation playing the Packers, but you still have to find a way to win. What do you see happening in this one, and who do you have winning?
I have the Chiefs winning this. They're in this bowl for me on that side, and so I bet they are getting. So for me, that momentum is going to.
This game is the harder of the two for me to really get a handle on how I feel about it, because as you mentioned, you got Lamar Jackson trying to take that step to get to the Super Bowl, and plenty of experience on the other side. The Chiefs have done a good job of reinventing themselves, you know, from kind of like the Patriots did when they were on, but the Chiefs defense is really good in keeping them in games, which is something that, you don't really think about when you think about the Chiefs. It's always, Mahomes and Kelsey.
You don't hear about it either, really. Yeah.
But they're good. And the Ravens obviously have a good defense also. So this is a game but I think that just based on, and I'm really, really over all the Chiefs stuff. I'm over it to the point of I'm at full saturation. I'm going to puke, but I think the Chiefs will probably pull it out.
So, which is crazy to say. It's not really crazy to say, but it shows you where we have elevated, and rightfully so, Patrick Mahomes. Because I don't think they're going to win. Yes, their defense. I agree. I think that Spagnuolo is going to have a great game plan for Lamar and all those things. But I think when you start thinking about it, it's Andy Reid and Mahomes. It's kind of like until Saban lost and he finally did, then you started doubting Alabama a little bit. But balls coming at them, and they talk about it all the time on the graphics on ESPN. If all of the squares say the same person, they're probably not going to win. But I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to do it because of the pressure thing. And maybe Lamar rises and does that on Sunday and makes it to the Super Bowl. But if he doesn't, now you've got to start thinking, can he get over that hump? Will he be able to do that? Because yes, he's won 2 MVPs, or he's about to, but he's not gotten to the dance. So we'll see what happens there. I've got the Chiefs as well, which will probably mean that the Baltimore Ravens win. Now Detroit and San Francisco. San Francisco, a lot of people at the beginning of the year, even with Brock Purdy, thought he was going to be the guy. And so who do you think has this one? I think are the Detroit Lions, and I wrote this down, Are the Detroit Lions or are the Lions still Cinderella?
No, they are a legit team. They are a legit contender. In my opinion, no, they are a Cinderella. They're not the Texans or even the Browns. They're, in my opinion, I would not say that they're a Cinderella story this season with how they've done.
I agree with that completely. I mean, they're a good team. They've developed, and Dan Campbell has a holy buy-in with that spark that we're talking about that seems like the Cowboys don't have. They do have that. And I don't think that this is just a, complete pushover of a game. The Slipper's not going to think they're going to win, but that's just because I think San Francisco, and it depends on Samuel's ability to play, but the weapons that San Francisco has on offense are unmatched in the NFL. As far as there's a lot of talk about Kelsey, but Kittle is right there in the line tight ends.
And you got Brandon Ayuk, who's a good weapon as well.
Yes.
I mean, they are loaded.
And then obviously they played good defense, and that's really kind of been, they were that team that is kind of the opposite of what we look at when we look at Kansas City. They were the team that the defense was there for several years, and then the offense is starting to, when they brought in McCaffrey, it really was like, okay, now we got the offense to go with that defense. And so that's why I think the 49ers in this.
So
I've got the Lions.
is that because I do think there's still a bit of a Cinderella. This is why. Not Cinderella in I can't believe they're here, but is this going to be one of those, and I'll also look at them like the Diamondbacks. Is this going to be the one where they get to the NFC Championship this year and then build off of it to do it next year? I think I'm picking the Lions, but I think the way it's got, the reason they win I believe it's Gibbs. I just think they're loaded. They're going to be able to run. If they can run the football, because what they cannot do, it cannot be Jared Goff's game to have to go win. Now, not saying he can't, not saying he's not good enough.
Right.
He's taking the team to a Super Bowl, but I think it's going to be if they can run the football and maybe milk some clock and keep that explosive offense off the field as much as possible, that's going to be the key. Down the line, talk in broken lines. If they're able to do that, I think we're going to see. And you know what's funny about that? The first game of the year will match the last game of the year. The Lions,
the asterisk game, which is still baffling. When the Lions beat the Chiefs
because Kelsey didn't play.
And Tirico said on air, like, put an asterisk next to that win, because the Chiefs went at full speed, which is just like, give me a break. And the Lions showed that was not some fluke.
Right.
And the Lions have been building for, we've talked about them the last couple of years. That's why I don't think they're Cinderella. Like if this was the first year or something, but they've been built for the last few years. And so they are legitimate. Chiefs, Lions, Taylor, Eminem. This is what the media was. Y'all been seeing it everywhere. But have y'all not seen all of these memes? It's like Taylor versus Eminem.
All right, so Josh, you got KC in San Francisco. We've got go find a place to lot of land cattle. Find a place, enjoy it. We'll be back. We'll talk about next week for more Hodge Pack, Sports Live, and everything in between.
KLGB Stanford, Abilene, 106.9 FM, your real country.
Job, folks.